Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. I'm not going to be too long because I'd like to go back to bed, but let's just talk about Lil Wayne briefly. Long story short, he's been saying a bunch of off-the-wall stuff in regards to race in America. Strike one was when he was on ESPN and they were talking about the Colin Kaepernick situation, and he basically said, well, you know what? Hell, I don't think racism exists because white people buy my music. And of course, the white co-host on there is, yeah. And mind you, I'm sitting here watching this like, why do they have Lil Wayne on ESPN? One, a sports network with a demographic that does not really care about a whole lot of social responsibility, social issue, anything. Because the majority viewing demographic is a bunch of middle-aged, angry-ass white men. So why is Lil Wayne on here being the voice of reason for black people? Because it's not going to go well. So I was already side-eyeing in. And then, of course, with the host, he enjoyed everything Lil Wayne said. And so, strike two is tonight. He was on Nightline, and they were having a conversation about the whole Black Lives Matter. And the woman had asked him, well, what were your thoughts about Black Lives Matter? He said, you know, I don't really connect to it. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And he basically said, you know what, I'm extremely rich, and I'm a rich black man. I can't connect to that. It doesn't have anything to do with me. I don't care about nothing that doesn't have anything to do with me. You shouldn't care about it either if it doesn't have anything to do with you. And then he said his life matters to his bitches. And, you know, there's a white man that's recording him right now as the cameraman. That's how he knows that his life matters. And so he's basically just trying to say that his status, his socioeconomic status, is what makes him matter. Because he's better than the white cameraman at the moment. Because the white cameraman is recording a black man on national TV giving his opinion. And so he said that. Then he basically said he's not a politician. And then he kind of walked out of the interview. It was an awkward thing to watch already because he was high as a kite. And I can tell he was high as a kite because just a few weeks ago, he was on stage doing another show, and he was like, Black Lives Matter this, Black Lives Matter that. You know, it's not about the music, it's not about the money, it's not about the money, it's about black lives. We are black, da-da-da-da-da. And so I'm like, wait a minute, why you done switched gears already? It ain't been but 2 months. And so this gets me to my point. The main point I want to make is that we have to stop looking to these celebrities to be the voice of reason and spokespersons for our communities, because a lot of them are not informed about the reality of what it is when it comes to race in America, when it comes to race globally. One, here's my thing. I don't need anybody speaking on my behalf as a black person if they are not well studied and well informed about what's going on. If I already know more than you, I don't need you to speak on my behalf. The only thing that gives Lil Wayne any kind of qualification to say anything is because he has money. But it doesn't mean that he's intelligent and that he's well informed about that specific topic. Lil Wayne is a genius when it comes to music. That's his lane. A lot of these entertainers, they're entertainers. That's what they do well. But when you start breaking down, you know, different layers and elements and conversations, and you start talking about some things of substance, a lot of them fall flat. And it's mainly because a lot of them have been rich for the longest. Lil Wayne, I think his first album came out when he was 14. Raven-Symoné's another example. You know, she's been famous since she was 3. Raven-Symoné was so pressed to try to fit in the realm of being accepted by everybody that when that person on that show, then, you know, they had the conversation about the person who compared Michelle Obama to a freaking ape, she went out of her way to say, well, I look like a toucan. And so that was her way of justifying that the man who called Michelle Obama an ape was not racist. That's the issue we have with a lot of these celebrities. They're just so far removed from the reality. When it comes to being the spokesperson of anything regarding black anything of African descent, you have to be well studied. You have to understand what structural oppression is. You have to know what systematic racism is. You have to know what institutionalized racism is. You have to understand why race and wealth go hand in hand with how the country is run, how residual, you know, the residual revenue generated, or the generational wealth that's been accumulated from the oppression of people of African descent all around the world build the world structure today. All that plays hand in hand. If you're not well studied in that, you shouldn't be speaking on my behalf. You know, there are scholars and clinical scientists and professors and doctors who have spent years and years of research just tackling all the different elements that go into what it is about race in this country and race worldwide. And they still can't all even come up to the same agreement on how things work because it's that complicated. So if you're an entertainer, I don't expect you to know all that stuff because that's not what your practice is. Your practice is to work on your craft as an entertainer. Am I giving entertainers a pass to be ignorant? Hell no, because I think they need to step their game up. If you're going to be speaking on my behalf, if you're going to be speaking in front of cameras about black issues, you need to know what you're talking about. And so it disappoints me. And what pisses me off the most about Wayne is that he and a lot of people are under the assumption that if you have money, automatically you're exempt from anything being black. And it's such a catch-22 because I'm like, one, Wayne, not to go there, but listen, your house was damaged in Katrina like everybody else, and you moved to Florida. Florida, a state where between 1989 and 2014, there were 600 incidents of police killing unarmed individuals. And of those 600 cases, 2 police were charged, 0 went to jail. That's the state you went to. So you're saturated and living in an environment where you were still victim to that. And that pisses me off because a lot of these entertainers, they're so pressed to remove themselves and appear to be better than what's going on because a lot of them associate black with always being poor or being uneducated or being second class or not being top tier. And so they feel that because they get money, all of a sudden, oh, they're way up here. I can't relate to that. Negro, you just did 8 months in jail. You can relate to being black. Let's not, okay? Because, you know, 1 in 3 black men are going to go to jail before the age of 50. And you just met that status quo. So I'm sure that you can relate. You know, so it's disappointing. So one, stop holding these celebrities to that standard of speaking on our behalf because they don't know what they're talking about. You know, they just don't. And I think when it comes to social responsibility, I get disappointed because a lot of them choose to not be responsible for their actions. And here's my thing. When you're a public figure, whether you want to be or not, you are a public figure who carries an act of social responsibility. You carry influence. You have people that follow you. And I think I take it so passionately because, one, I work in the community. I run a community center. And for me, even when I leave work, I still have to carry myself in a certain way because I know my kids can be watching anytime. So when there's all the little happy hours and stuff that are in the same neighborhood as the center that I work in, I don't ever go to it. Because one, I don't need my kids to see me coming out there stumbling after 5 or 6 drinks. Because I know that there is an image that I have to portray for them. Because if I'm telling them one thing and they see me doing the opposite, what the hell? You know what I mean? So if I'm going to be doing all my trash and my dirty work, I'm definitely on the other side of town doing it. And I think maybe that's why my center's ranked 4th in the country. You know what I mean? But it's just, these celebrities, we have to stop looking, not us, the media has to stop, because we're not asking them to speak on our behalf, the media does. And see, the media has an issue where there's a propaganda with them. They're trying to push a certain agenda, and when you have a country that's run by white supremacy and bought out by the media that is endorsed by white supremacy, they're going to make sure they continue to carry that trait, which is why when you notice you see black entertainers speak on our behalf, it's always the ones that don't know what they're talking about. It's always the ones that are going to embarrass us. Even with Colin Kaepernick, as soon as he said his 2-bit about what was going on in America, they couldn't wait to find another NFL player. Oh, I will gladly stand for the national anthem. I love America. I love this country. They have to do that to counterbalance the reality of what is. The media likes to keep us stupid, likes to keep us in a bubble. And when people speak out and go against the status quo, go against the grain, and challenge people to critically think, that's a problem. That's why they always go and get somebody else who can counterbalance whatever that is and make the person who's actually making a lot of sense look like a lunatic, look like an idiot. Because when it's all said and done, these entertainers, a lot of them they don't know any more than the average Joe off the street when it comes to policy and race and just what's going on in the world. So we have to stop holding these celebrities to this standard where they can speak on our behalf. And it's up to us to teach ourselves, our community, and these celebrities and each other the reality of what is, because no one else is going to give it to us. We have to be informed. That's why I'm saying we have to stop being in a position where we bask in being ignorant to everything. Oh, I ain't stressing about that. Kind of like Young Thug when he was on the red carpet at that award show that time. And I think the whole Mike Brown thing was still going on. He was like, well, you know what? You let them handle that. We out here having fun. We iced out tonight. And I'm like, but this is the demographic of people that buy your music. These are the people that are buying your concert tickets. So what is it saying to them when you're too good to, you know, care about them because you got a check? What? Okay, I can't. So anyway, this video is already too long. I said all that trash about how I wasn't going to make this video long and I'm already ranting. But, you know, it's just, it's disappointing because you want to see people who are successful that look like you also be intelligent. And it's like you can never get both. Like, damn. But like I said, Lil Wayne musically, great, awesome, great catalog. The Carter 2, the Carter, great projects. Carter 3 was alright. But, you know, right now, clearly he's not up to par with reality when it comes to race. And so he needs to just do some of his own self-assertion and self-digging and self-reflection and figure that out himself. And I advise that a lot of you guys also just hold each other accountable to that mess, because we are in a situation where we're hated in the world. People are trying to kill us. People are trying to stop us from being great. And when we let people like Lil Wayne and Raven-Symoné and Wendy Williams speak on our behalf, it gives justification for that system to continue, because white people love to click onto their words and use them against us. Oh, but Lil Wayne said it's not a big deal. What are you mad about? Wendy Williams said you don't need HBCUs. You know, Raven-Symoné said racism doesn't exist. Whoopi Goldberg said, you know what I mean? And so people use that stuff against us. Anyway, this video is too long. I'm out. Subscribe, share your 2 cents. And yeah, that's it. I ain't got nothing else to say. Good night.